zambiri amadziwa kuti suti tonse tingafike kuno koma amayitana akuluakulu a nthambi zosiyanasiyana kuti to afike adzathire ndimanga pamenetu ndithu tikuyankhula pano ndaonapo akuluakulu amayunivesiti akuluakulu kuno ku chigawo cha kumpoto afika pamalo pano komanso ndaonapo anthu azipani zosiyanasiyana ndi amenensotu ndithu afika pamalo pano kuti ndithu athirepo ndimanga pamene tikunena kuti unduna ona zachuma uli kuno ku chigawo cha kumpoto kuti umve maganizo a anthu pa nkhani zosiyanasiyana ngafune kuti zikhale mu ndondomeko ya chuma ndithu ya mu chaka chimene cha 2025 mpaka na 2026 ndi amayenda abambo chimenetu chikuchitika pakadali pano ndi chakuti nduna ionatu ndithu za chuma amene watu ndi makamaka simplex chichola banda amene watu ndithu afika muno mu maki umenetu mukuchitikiratu mwambo umenewu ndithu ofuna kumva maganizo kwa anthu osiyanasiyana za mmene ndondomeko ya chuma iyendetseredwe mchaka chimenechi chimenetu kuti cha 2025 mpaka na 2026 mwene akungoyankhulako pang'ono kuti pamene ndithu afike iwo ndithu pamalo pano pakhaletu zoyankhulayankhula ndipo Bechani Cheleni amenetu ndi secretary to the treasury nawonso to akhale akuyankhula ndithu kuti ziyenda motani komanso pakhala kuyankhula ndi a Livingstonia Church and Society ndipo pakadali pano amayenda abambo ndikupatsireni to kwa amene akuyendetsa mwambo amenewa awatu ndi bambo a Williams Banda posachedwa pa ndikhalenso ndikubwera pamenetu ndikupatsirani kaye kwa bambo Williams Banda kuti ayendetse mwambo umenewo.
Let me invite Mr. Kariakona Kondo to lead us in prayer. Thank you.
Tijalimaso tulombe tukwiza pamaso pinu Yehova mulenje uwu muzuwa ili lero imwe mwatipa tabana vinu tikumuongani chifukwa mwatipa nkhongono zipya mwatipa moyo upya kweniso mwatipaso mphepo ziweme Yehova zuwa ili likala kutali kweni imwe mwakhozgera kuti zuwa ili lifike mpaka mhanya uno tabantu tili bamsuma uongekani chifukwa cha uweme wino wene uwo tikuona muvinandi ivo imwe mukutipa na kutichitira muzuwa lino panyengo ya sono peni papo tiwenge pa vidumbirano vakukhwasikana na kendeskero kachuma chitu cha Malawi. Yehova imwe ndimwe mungamanya kungwerusya mitu yitu kujura maso yitu kuti tionesesya kweniso na kupereka mayanuyano ya weme yene ayo yangarutizga panthazi kendeskero kachuma chitu na kutukula maumoyo ya wina Malawi. Yehova ndimwepera mungamanya kumanga nyumba ngani umo mazini ya kuyoyera kuti kwambura Yehova wamange nyumba au wakumanga wakutoka pawaka kwambura imwe mulinde nyumba au wakulinda wakutaya tulo twawo pawaka ndi chifukwa chake mlenje uwu tikuti tidangilireni mu vyose Yehova tikumba zina lino likashindikike pa umaliro mu zina la Yesu Kristo tukulomba amen.
Thank you so much. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Honorable Simplex Chilabanda,
representatives of the professional bodies, private sector organizations, representative of civil society organizations, in this case led by Nika Institute, representative of the faith-based organizations, representatives of the academia led by Vice Chancellor of Mzuzu University, Professor Wells Singini, senior officials from Ministry of Finance. I recognize PSS present here, and of course other senior officials from other ministries, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me honor to stand before you this morning here at Mzuzu Hotel, where we'll have our second session of pre-budget consultation for 2025-26 financial year. We just had the first one yesterday at BICC in Lilongwe. I therefore wish to welcome you all and request that we all feel free to constructively contribute into this process. My task this morning is to request the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Honorable Simplex Chichorabanda MP, to officially open the 2025-26 pre-budget consultation meeting here in Mzuzu, at Mzuzu Hotel. But before I do so, allow me, Honorable Minister, to make some welcoming remarks. Let me begin by indicating that, as we know, attaining the desired outcomes of every program starts with proper planning and programming. And in this case, the budget preparation and management is no exception. The budget is an instrument for transforming the economy. It is a catalyst for development. The budget can only produce the much desired and needed results if we get our national priorities right and identify goals at the outset. The budget can only produce results if it is prepared and implemented and managed in a consultatively and collaborative manner. It is against this background that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs solicit views from all stakeholders on the national budget preparation, implementation, and management in order to come up with a framework that appreciates the desires, needs, and aspirations of the citizens. It is therefore necessary and important that we all use this gathering to come up with plausible solutions to the foreseeable challenges that could affect or negatively impact implementation of the 2025-26 national budget. This is the second meeting, as I indicated earlier on, that is being conducted by the minister. We had the first one in Lilongwe yesterday at BICC. At this juncture, it is now my humble duty and with honor to request the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Honorable Simplex Chichorabanda MP, to officially open this budget consultation meeting taking place here at Mzuzu Hotel in Mzuzu. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. You want nkweni amakhala good morning when. Monile Mose. Good morning. Happy New Year. Mr. Heatherwick Njati, PS admin in my ministry, sitting in or standing in on behalf of Professor Bechan Chelen, who is the ST, a representative of Reserve Bank of Malawi. Yesterday we had Dr. Austin Chumya. I hope we have someone here as well. The Commissioner General of Malawi Revenue Authority, Daniel Daka. And then we have Ndobainu Mwana Ukaya, who is the Director General for National Planning Commission. My brother, Dr. Thomas Chadagalala Muntali, is here. I recognize your presence. The Presidential Advisor on Economy, Mr. Chancellor Kafera Banjira. My dear brother, Professor Wells Singini from Zuzu University, representing the academia. We are also blessed by having the Malawi, or the president of the Malawi Association, or local association, Her Worship Esther Sagawa, representatives of private sector organizations, representatives of civil society organizations. I know Mose is here, so is Charles, and several others. The officials from Ministry of Finance and other ministries here present. But more importantly, we are live, both on radio and TV. I therefore recognize the presence of members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I have already indicated good morning. Therefore, it is my honor and privilege to be here this morning to preside over the 2025-26 pre-budget consultation meeting. And this is my second time standing in the very place, meeting most of the people that I met, but also last time I requested that the way people supported Aleke Banda, would you support me? Today, Professor Wells and the team here, I would like to report that you've given me unwavering support, and some of the achievements that we've achieved are also from that kind of support. Let me express my profound gratitude to every one of you for coming to attend to this very important budget consultation meeting. As you are all aware, my ministry has always prioritized the need to consult, consulting the stakeholders in order to do the following: soliciting your views, your contributions, but also inputs into the national budget. The budget, as you are aware, remains a very important tool in fostering economic prosperity and eradicating poverty, and this can never be underestimated. The budget, therefore, is the most important national instrument through which public services and other economic activities in the country are implemented for the benefit of all Malawians. It is important that we all participate both in its preparation and implementation. So budgeting is a process. Budgeting has a calendar. And one of the key activities is actually to solicit views through what we call pre-budget consultations. People do sit in Lilongwe bring about assumptions, assuming those are representing you, go to Parliament, deliberate and pass budget. But the process would be incomplete because we could not know the priorities, the aspirations, the desires of some people. I think that's the reason why we deliberately planned that we need to have regionally based pre-budget consultations. Why am I making this emphasis? Because we have not come here to listen. That's not the reason why we are here. We have come here to participate. We have come here to contribute. We have come here to propose what we think could be the possible solutions to our issues. This is the second meeting, as I said, of the series of national consultative meetings that my ministry planned. And besides this meeting, officials from my ministry have already consulted some of the business captains in the country, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, and academic. We started in Lilongwe. We are here today. We'll be in Blantyre by the end of this week. This meeting, therefore, provides an opportunity to all the other sectors that were not reached out to get their views and proposals on the 2025-26 national budget. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted with the attendance this morning, despite the tight schedule under which you, distinct ladies and gentlemen, operate in your various endeavors. Your presence this morning underlines the importance that you personally attach in general to the national budget and in particular to the pre-budget consultation meetings that my Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs conducts with stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, I note that key government institutions such as the Reserve Bank of Malawi, the Malawi Revenue Authority, National Planning Commission, local authorities, as well as the private sector, the professional bodies, faith-based organization members, or faith-based organizations, members of the press and non-governmental organizations are all represented in this meeting. Your presence is not taken for granted, as this is a clear testimony of your commitment and keen interest to see this country recover and develop and move forward to prosperity. You are therefore most welcome at this meeting and feel free to contribute to the discussions. As we are all aware, it is the mandate of my ministry, as stipulated in the Public Finance Management Act of 2022, to prepare and oversee the implementation of the national budget. In order for the ministry to effectively deliver on this mandate, it relies considerably on the contributions of various stakeholders. This meeting, therefore, is a very critical and of paramount importance, as it accords us with the opportunity to get your views in relation to the framing of 2025-26 national budget from a cross-section of stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the preliminary budget processes, government has set out the microeconomic framework for 2025-26 budget that looks at the microeconomic targets such as fiscal and monetary policy measures and the debt sustainability targets to be achieved by the end of the fiscal year. This follows the agreement with IMF on a number of programs, including lab credit facility arrangement, as we are also doing technical discussions for the extended credit facility programs that we actually gotten from IMF. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy is still recovering from the effects of COVID-19, the climate change-related shocks, and economic effects of some international forces. I hope, just like many other regions, Northern region might also be affected by the dry spells. We haven't received enough rains for us to plant. That definitely has a pressure on the budget. Nevertheless, The economy is projected to grow by 4% in 2025, and other macroeconomic indicators also show signs of economic recovery. This is a great achievement that needs to be applauded by all players in the economy. However, in order for us to achieve our long-term goal of poverty reduction for all Malawians, we now need to pursue growth-promoting policies guided by our blueprint, the Malawi Vision 2063, that my dear brother Thomas Chatagara Muntali champions. This therefore implies that our budget will have to strengthen prudent fiscal management, improve domestic resource mobilization, and ensure that we achieve debt sustainability in the medium to long term. Let me remind members here that inputs from this meeting are expected to feed into the 2025-26 budget formulation processes. My ministry will compile all the views and suggestions from this meeting for review and consideration in the process of consolidating the budget. However, it must be appreciated that not all the suggestions can be accommodated in this very fiscal year, but will remain critical in guiding the Ministry of Finance in the budget formulation process. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for sparing your precious time and coming to attend to this pre-budget consultation meeting for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Your views, inputs, and suggestions into the budget are critical so that together we can support government in its aspiration to rebuild, industrialize, and grow this economy for the benefit of our people. Yesterday, in Lilongwe, I experienced something spectacular to the extent that all the presentations that were made highlighted challenges, appreciated some progress made, but at the very end, they provided the possible solutions. So they had proposals. For instance, when we were talking about domestic revenue mobilization, I have seen 2, 3, 4 presentations highlighting why can't we just do this? Why can't you just do that? And that helps us to actually navigate when we are doing the compilation. I am expecting the same here. I am therefore calling upon your active participation. We want to have candid discussions. We'll never have another country to call it home. It's the same Malawi. And we shall never look for anyone else. It is us. And there shall never be any other time. It is now. You are particularly identified and selected by Almighty to come and participate because your contribution is invaluable to this process. For I believe in the Ubuntu philosophy. I want to conclude this by saying the same. In the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, I have the hope that whatever we are going to discuss here will bear good fruits for the betterment of the poor people, whose hope lies in the actions, agreements that we are doing today. May Almighty God bless you as we embark on this journey. I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. At this juncture, Honorable Minister, and all protocols observed, we'll go into the structured presentations. And the first presentation will be made by the Livingstonia Church and Society. And at this juncture, let me invite Reverend Mla to lead in the presentation. You have the floor.
Hello, okay. Honorable Minister, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Simplice Chijora Banda, MP, Wakwitu, and all representatives, as they have been mentioned in the protocols, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Happy New Year. Monire Mose. The first thing before I go into the presentation, Honorable Minister, I would like to preamble the presentation by saying, when I heard that you are doing this last year, I was of the opinion that you are taking views from the north, from the center, and from the south, so that some of these can find their own way into the budget. Then when I presented last year, and when I looked at the presentation you made in February, and looked at whatever we discussed here from me, academia, and that, I said, have we been given a raw deal? You corrected all these presentations, and when it came to the sharing of the national cake, I found it that maybe we got 1/8 or not from this part of the country. And this time, I want to be very candid in my presentation. There are some things which this government has done very well, and particularly you as the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, you have done very well. You can easily see that you are struggling. The forces around you to manage the economy, it's not easy. But the way you are doing it, but in the spirit of Umuntu, which you have just finished us here, one nation, we have one resource, and we have to share all the resources together. I expect that at the end of this budget presentation with all my friends, at least some of the things which you have presented, they should find their own way into the budget. When we mention the roads, I have something else here to mention, to look at. You look at the roads. For the past 2 years, they become so impassable. And some of the things which we are going to make. Honorable Minister, I believe and I trust that this presentation is geared to sharing of the national cake equally. There are some regions which they might deem small, maybe in terms of population or that, but you don't underestimate the small people. Small numbers of people in the region. They can equally contribute to the economy. And when you're saying that this region, people, the numbers are small, not all people from this region or other regions stay in this region. They are elsewhere in other regions sparse. They can equally contribute to the to this economy. But one thing which I want to emphasize is that I'm presenting this with the background that with the situation now, as it is, the economy, the global economy, Malawi, you are trying hard. So if I say appreciation, the mega funds, aye. If these things continue, Honorable Minister, very soon we'll be out of this poverty trap. And then the NIF have started borrowing borrowing the fertilizer, the farm inputs to the farmers. That will equally take us out from the poverty lines which we have in Malawi. Some roads, some roads projects through visible. When last time I was driving in Lilongwe, I appreciated it. I felt I've just started living in Malawi because the roads. I mean, you look at the network, but when you go out of Lilongwe, then a dark cloud will always fall on you, saying that had it been that also Mzuzu had the same road network, I mean, Malawi was to enjoy at all same. The other thing about Mtukulapakomo, the Mtukulapakomo thing, and with the increased, no, I think this is taking us somewhere else. But on the affordable inputs program, I made a deliberate move to visit your office and some of the offices in Capitol Hill on the same issue. Why is the government so stubborn not to stop this affordable? And then I got this answer and I was convinced. Reverend Matumula, we are moving towards that. This is what I got from Capitol Hill. We are slowly, gradually phasing this AIP. But we cannot just take it out one day and then it is out. But you see that in most of the numbers, we'll be reducing numbers from 1.5 to 900, and then gradually maybe to 500, and then 200, and then it phases out. I like the way you have done it, although it will take long to abandon it. But this thing, the mega farm thing, which I hope will replace the AIP, I tell you, to bring the food security which we have always wanted in Malawi. We can redirect the resources to agriculture, extension, or transport and public works, or education, restock ADMAC with maize, provide operational costs to cover remote areas. Energy, there is improvement in electricity availability. We thank this government. But if we can only reach that 1,000 megawatts by 2025, this year, then I think that thing of blackouts will be the thing of the past. Adequate refund MAREP to extend the coverage, I don't know. Is this MAREP thing working the way it was working in the past 20 years or so, or 10 years ago? There's something wrong. I think we need to look at the MAREP thing. It is not working the way it was working last time we had introduced it. Reduce traffic orders to discourage the use of wood energy. Operationalize mines and make development agreements public. We have seen the Kairekera, the development agreements, and then we have also this Kasia mine, the Songwe Hills, Parombe, the Kanyika in Mzimba. If only those agreements have been made public, we can fast track, we can track what they have agreed and see the performance of those mines. But otherwise, we are very much afraid now that if these agreements are not disclosed now, we will have the scenario which we used to have in Kairekera at that time, whereby you didn't even know that who is benefiting what, and at the end of the day, it was few individuals who were benefiting from that. But we need that disclosure. Transport and public works, make provisions for the following projects. This has been a song. Honorable Minister, last week, I was driving to Mhangara, Mhangara Mwazisi, you go by the Rinyika Road. I found that I was impressed from Bowe Kazun turn-off. There's that stretch which has been tarmacked. I mean, always when you have that stretch, you always increase the speed, maybe to 80 before you even hit the animal ahead of you. But when you feel that you have started enjoying driving and speeding, you find that 20 meters, the tarmac is what? I said, well, the investment is good. I know Nyika has changed contractors, maybe 2 or 3 contractors, that Nyika Road. But this time, the contractor is on the site, is doing pretty well. And we hope that if he can continue in that manner, then the 20 kilometers to Bentu will also be a way to go. But we don't only need that 20. Maybe if it had reached the Tazima, then we would say, I think government has really thought of us in this road. And the other, Edingene Utini Mperembe Road, the construction of Oton Chirwa. My synod recently issued a statement thanking the government of MCP about the improvement of the airport here. Is that 200 meters over there and then 100 meters so that it will allow bigger airplanes to land here. And then in our discussions we were saying, maybe this is the Otonchiro they were talking about. Panjini Otonchiro ila wakayoyanga batenge vichi. Msuzu University started as a TTC too. It was a TTC. It was improved. And now it is Mzuni. This and that. So we said that, last time the government started Mzuzu TTC and it merged into a university. Maybe the long-awaited Oton Chiwa, it would be this, the 200 meters and the 100 meters. But if today you could assure me that the dream of Oton Chiwa Airport is there, then you have a pat on my back from here. Allocate adequate funds to completion of Mzuzu City Roads, Nkogwe Dunduzu, Mzuzu. I leave this because I don't have nice words for this. Propose new roads projects, Kakware, Kasungu, North, Kasitu, Nkota. This will really help us so that we can open up the north and open up the M5 and M1. Mzuzu Usisia Road, this has always been told that we have it in the pipeline. Chitimba, Livingstonia Road, that stretch, the Gorodi one, we need that one so that it can complete the transportation system uproad from the Chitimba to Livingstonia. Chiweta Mlowe Charo, Usisia Road, this is another place where we have to look at it. Shortage of essential medical, still a challenge in public health services. Push a lot of more funds to the sector. Shortage of staff still rampant, yet qualified health personnel aren't recruited. Push a lot. We need to appreciate government. Last year, last budget session, I think we had witnessed the recruitment of nurses and doctors. I think we can do more this budget session. If we can also recruit the other cohort, then I think we can have this being addressed. Need for a new district hospital for Chitipa, Rumbi. Chitipa is, I come from Chitipa, Honorable Minister. Chitipa is a border district. Tanzania, Zambia, all cases come to Chitipa. Sometimes they're even deprived of us of the real medicines which we are supposed to get from that. Maybe if we could have a better and a bigger hospital that would also cater from the friends from other nationalities like Zambia. Need for a new district hospital for Chitipa, Rumbi, and Rikoma. Rikoma equally has that one. On education, most schools, especially in rural areas, are understaffed, yet so many cohorts of teachers remain unemployed. Make provisions for recruitment of teachers in primary and secondary schools. Exorbitant fees in public schools, colleges, and universities, leading to withdrawal of students. Adequately fund the loans board to cover even students in private colleges and universities. We have witnessed an increased number of scholarships from government in private schools. That is commendable. Make adequate provisions for INCOS, Mbero University and Mzuzu University, including the new campus. That I hope our friends who also. Increase investment in ECD to turn around the rural access, improve infrastructure, improve quality and access, support emoluments of caregivers, and reduce the turnover. Forestry and environmental management, depletion of Chikakawa forest with little or no reforestation program is worrisome. When you travel along this strip from here to maybe Mzimba 10 off, you'll find that that forest which Dr. Banda, late Dr. Banda, may his soul rest in peace, we used to admire is no longer there. But we need to make something else so that we afforest the Chikangawa forest. Make provisions for reforestation programs, including inviting the private sector on the videos. Land and house construction, southern houses sector, this is commendable. But what we have seen that the progress has been slow. I know maybe because of the performance of the economy, but we commend government that we have these projects ongoing in most of the past. Capitalize MTC construct, Malawi Housing Corporation construct more flats in cities and urban centers. I don't know, Honorable, where is this program where Malawi Housing used to construct? I once lived in South Africa. We have these companies, apart like the Malawi Housing Corporations, which they would construct many houses and then give to ordinary people as to be hired as you'd get a house on bond, so that through that bank you would be paying for that until you finish and you own that house. Even the RDP in South Africa, we can do the same program here. The RDPs in squatter camps like Zorozoro, Chiwavi, and elsewhere in the country. The RDP program, we can emulate from the South African government, whereby we can construct as many two-bedroom houses, as many houses, so that our people can engage that and they can be paying rent, and later on they can own those houses. Maybe we can borrow a riff from our friends in the South. Information and digitalization. License and frequency fees for radio and TV stations are also exorbitant. I'm one of the leaders of Room FM. And then we had an equipment coming, and it was started at MRA. Had it not been that I went to MRA to say that Rumpi Community Radio is a community radio, for God's sake, how long are you going to get the money to pay for this equipment? And now we're saying that for those community radios, maybe even other equally important radios and TV stations, we can choose these the import duties, so that we can have as many of them, so we can also be using them in the communities. Liaise with the macro and reduce fees. So too are the import duties of broadcasting equipment. Review the fees and duties. On taxation, we had members from the MRA who came and consulted, and this is what we gave them. I hope they have also presented to, they were also pre-consulting the same on the taxes. What do you want that the taxes should be? But the tax band, we said that it should be, tax-free band, it should be 200,000 above. Taxation, reduce taxation tobacco, 5%, in view of high-cost fertilizer, make exemption of TCCs on small-scale enterprises, reduce VAT 10% or even lower. When we are discussing this with our friends, we say that from 16.7, reduce VAT to 10%. And someone says, if you could reduce the 16% to 10%. But with the prevailing economic hardships, we need at least to address this taxation. Why don't we impose high taxes on these goods which are coming outside, which the conglomerates, shop rights can pay with the bringing in? We should tax heavily on those people, not the Malawians who are consuming these goods. Reduce taxes on importation of cars instead of the free duty week. Sometimes it passes as if it is when you are waiting for the free duty free week. It passes as if it is those cars which race the M1 Formula 1, and then it goes. You find that the week is we need the established one. I mean, you could warn the populace that we will have on a certain day a duty-free week so that we prepare ourselves. But you can go to lero ndi lero, mawa, the duty-free week. Kadusa, when you will be looking for money, the duty-free week is what? Is God. COF for vehicles should reduce the value. COF for vehicles should reduce the value as the car depreciates. Let me explain this. I buy 50 million a car today. COF in the Imeneo. It reduces the following year, the other year. 10 years, then the COF is still, why can't we reduce even the COF fees so that we can also match with the old, with the vehicle which you are what? This is the bridge in Mzuzu, Honorable Minister. When you are looking at it, it is not in use up to now. It was built sometime. But still people are using the what? The small bridge which is going. I say, these are the pictures which depicts the life of the people who live in Mzuzu. Even the police vehicle has problems in this way. I deliberately chose so that you know that even our own law enforcers have got problems in mobility in this city. In Hara, we had a grant which we used to construct this school. You go to Hara. Hara is in Chirumba or Uriwa in Chirumba area. This school, I tell you, it is falling under our nose. You would even say that whoever was granted this construction, that they have any heart, so that, I mean, my goodness, imwe mwajonera mweka imwe skulu iyi ikumara ikuruta ntentena tena. And the Chiweta Road, when we met the officials in Lilongwe, we said that, can you maybe advise the one who is doing, the constructor, who is doing the patch between Kacheche to Chiweta, can he start concentrating on Chiweta Road, the most difficult path, so that we can have the economic activity taking place. So when you are going into Chiweta, just recently you see the 90 trucks carrying fuel from Tanga. They were stuck in Chiweta. I mean, can that constructor concentrate on that patch, which is very difficult, other than the which are very easy to go about? Because if but in Chiweta, you cannot go anywhere else. You have to go through that one. Maybe through you, Honorable Minister, we can have that road, maybe constructor going to those difficult paths. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Livingstonia Church and Society. Honorable Minister, our next presentation will come from the academia. So we'll have Professor Wolf Singini from Mzuzu University. Thank you.
amayinde abambo anyamata ndasungwana timangofuna ndithu tikudziwitseni kuti tikulutsa mawu mwapompopompo kuchokeratu ku Mzuzu Hotel kumenetu ndithu unduna ona zachuma mtsiku la lero ukumanatu ndi anthu osiyanasiyana kuti to athirirepo ndimanga kapena kuperekapo maganizo awo za momwe ndondomeko ya zachuma ya mchaka cha 2025 mpaka na 2026 ingayendere. Ndetu pakadali pano church and society akuluakulu akumeneko ndamenetu amayankhula ndipo ayankhulapo fundo zosiyanasiyana kwakukulu amayamikira ndithu boma kuti ngakhale kuti pali mavuto osiyanasiyana mdziko muno komabe kuyesetsa akuyesetsa amanena kuti ukumatha kuona the will kapena kuti mmene akumachitira zinthu kuti ayi ngakhale zinthu zikuvuta komabe kuyesetsapo kulipo chifukwa pamakhala nthawi zina pamakhala ngati ukuona ngati pakulekereredwa koma akunena kuti akuona kuti kuyesetsako ndi akuyesetsa. Anayamikira nkhani ya ma mega farms kuti zitati zipitirire nkhani ija ya njala ndikutero idzakhala mbiri yakale. Kupatula pamenepo anayankhulaponso to nkhani yokhudzana ndi misewu kuti misewu itati ndithu yakonzedwa mbali zosiyanasiyana mchigawo chakumpoto zithandiziratu pa nkhani zachuma. Ndi apa ndi mtolankhani wathuto amene ndi Innocent Mkweu amenetu ndithu amatsata kwambiri nkhani zachuma. Iyeyu ndi modzi ndithu mwa atolankhani amene amatsata zachuma. Innocent, kungowafotokozera amalawi amene akufika kumene kuti mwina chachikulu chimene wamva pa kufikana pa nthawi ino nzotani?
Mwina munga mmene onenera kuti church and society yana kuti ngakhale pali ziphinjo zosiyanasiyana pa zachuma komano nduna ndi boma akuyesesa kuti zinthu zikhale kuti zikuyenda bwino kwambiriso apemphaso kumbali ya za misewu kunena kuti mwina misewu apitirize kupanga misewu yabwino ngati mmene ilili mizinda inayo kunokonso kumpoto kukhale misewu yabwino. Anenapo unena kuti kunoko kuli malo ambiri azokopa alendo ndipo misewu yabwino itha kuthandiza koma anenapo kuti pali zinthu zina zambiri zomwe zikuyenera kupitirira mwachisanzo. Anenapo za mtukula pa khomo kuti ukuyenera kupitirira ma mega farms komanso ngongole za nife zomwe alimi akulandira zikuyenera kuti zipitirire ngati chuma cha dziko lino chipite pasogolo.
Chabwino tsopano tikupatsireni to kwa president amene apereka presentation kapena zoyankhula zotsatira amene watu ndochokeratu ku Mzuzu University.
Mwadokerwa. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I will try to be the opposite of the Reverend. Short presentation. And let me say that we also have a title for our presentation, which really we're looking at transforming universities for impactful national socio-economic development. I think the word to emphasize there or to underline is impactful socio-economic development. That's a big shift of thinking that we have moving forward as universities. Honorable Minister, we should not forget, yes, my brother Thomas is here. I think as a country, we have a focus, and our focus is Malawi 2063. When you look at the Malawi 2063, 3 pillars, 7 enablers, it is becoming very clear that for Malawi as a country to achieve Malawi 2063, the MIP1, we need people that have got the right knowledge, we need people that have got the right skills to support the achievement of these aspirations. And therefore, enabler number 5 is very critical and important for higher education institutions like where we are coming from. It is our duty to make sure that we support this country by producing the right people to support the delivery of activities and strategies within the Malawi 2063. Very important. And even within the sector, we have the National Education Sector Investment Plan 2030. 2025, we only have 5 years to go. What is our contribution, or what has been our contribution towards the realization of the 3 pillars of the NESIP closer to 2030? So we have a duty to play as higher education institutions. To build on the same further, Honorable Minister, When we look at the Malawi 2063, really it is advocating for creating a knowledge-based economy. For us to achieve what we want, let's have people that are knowledgeable, people that have the right skills to deliver. Honorable Minister, we've seen that indeed knowledge-based economy is key for national transformation. There are very vivid examples of countries that this has happened, like Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Iceland, just to mention a few. These placed knowledge-based economy at the center of their development. And when you look at these countries today, they are high economic countries. But again, when you look in Africa, it is amazing to note that Kenya, Uganda, and our neighbor, Tanzania, they are also moving into that direction. So we believe that as a country, ifeso tisasalire kumbuyo. And this is the reason why government created universities. It's the reason why government created higher education institutions to make sure that we support the country in the delivery of knowledge-based economy. Honorable Minister, resource rationalization versus prioritization in the budget. We know that resources are limited, but our wants are so many. Yes, we rationalize in terms of allocation. Yes, we look at a prioritization, but as higher education institutions, we have just been wondering if deliberate efforts will be made in the budget formulation process, where we should be able to say, this year, why don't we just focus on higher education institutions? Or this year, why don't we just focus on health? So we put a lot of money, resources in health, focusing on a particular socioeconomic development we want within that sector, not necessarily for consumption. Because I think consumption is what is taking a lot of our budget compared to investment and development. So as we are rationalizing what are our priorities, and especially that we only have 5 years to go close to our MIP 1, 2030. What is it that we can do from now to 2030 to make sure that we make an impact towards our MIP 1? And also, for sure, is impact towards our sustainable development goals, which are ending in 2030. Yes, we have an opportunity, Honorable Minister. We are leveraging on the policy, laws or regulations and policy, like the Malawi Constitution, which provides education as a human right. So we have no choice apart from doing that. Now, in the process of creating knowledge-based economy, Honorable Minister, as higher education institutions, we feel that the numbers that we're talking about in this country are still low. Higher education is taken as reserved for a few. That should not be the case. It should be for everyone, but it's reserved for a few. And when you look at our access in terms of access, on an annual basis, Honorable Minister, maybe we have 17 to 20,000 students qualifying at MSc, qualifying for higher education entry. But what happens is that your public institutions can only take up to about 8,000. So where is the 12,000 going? Yes, we have private universities, Unilia, Catholic, but if we take 8,000 and a good number of them already complain or fail to enroll because of fees, how many can still afford to go to private university? Honorable Minister, my personal view, this is my personal view, Let me emphasize again, Honorable Minister, my personal view. I am personally not an advocate with our economy as Malawi. Personally, I'm not an advocate of expanding the number of higher education institutions, because it also has a lot of economic implications. We are creating a lot of cost centers that are becoming, as time goes by, difficult to manage, and difficult to support. My personal view, Honorable Minister, is that we are better off expanding and increasing access within the universities that we have. Because these operational costs we're extending are going to become unbearable. My personal view. So, Honorable Minister, we need to increase access as well as student support, because we are talking about knowledge-based economy. This is what the Malawi 2063 is advocating. For us to do that, we need to increase access. We need to increase student support in terms of tuition. The Loans Board is doing quite well in terms of supporting students. A number of students are being supported by Loans Board. And the rates have been increased, which is very good for our students. But Honorable, just tell you the truth, that on average, maybe still 150 to 200 students on an annual basis will still reserve their places because they can't raise fees to pay. You can imagine. That's a level of difficulty that these students are also experiencing. Apart from this massive support that government is already providing. So, Reverend Mura also touched on this. I think it's really still important that we consider that. Accommodation. Accommodation is an issue. Accommodation is an issue. But, Honorable Minister, we are shifting in terms of the operationalization of these hostels. Hostels are considered now as business. It's not a social responsibility. So we value the initial investment of having that hostel, but I want to tell you that in terms of operationalization, it's a business. It's not a social responsibility anymore. I remember we had a very good conversation with the PS Zimpita on this matter. And this is the reason why government has come up now with this massive support, building, constructing hostels across universities. It's a good investment, Honorable Minister, because once completed, the universities will be able to rake in something in terms of rentals from students. So that's a revenue cost in the long run, while in the meantime, it's an investment. And the learning environment, if we are talking about access, the learning environment must also be critically looked into. Currently, we are talking about ODL, open distance and e-learning. You may not need several massive structures, but investment in ICT, investment in these technologies will also be enough to support more students to access higher education. So the matter of internet ICT is important. Honorable Minister, let me also talk about the university's financing models. We observe that universities have depended on government for a long time, and that has created the intergenerational dependence. I remember then, even tax obligations, Commissioner General, we used to accumulate the tax obligations with the MRA and would go to Ministry of Finance, then, not now, to request for this support. And the minister would support, would bear out. There was this language, English, of bear out. So the Minister of Finance will bear out, and then we take that money, we'll give to MRA. MRA will get that money back to Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance gets that money to the university for our salaries. Yeah. But we have seen over time that the government is really entrusting universities to start moving into self-reliance, sustainability. I think that is key. And Honorable Minister, we are proposing that we know the planning cannot just be overnight, short term, medium term, long term. In the short term, moving into medium term, we are proposing that maybe the funding or subvention from government to higher education institutions must be based or linked to research output. the student enrollment and the student graduation rates. Very important, because we are compounded here by also standards. The standards stipulate that for a proper university, in terms of student to staff ratio, it must be 1 to 18. So if we are talking about increasing access, obviously, we also need to increase the staff or staffing that we have. And it is also very common that the way we are now, you have 6 public universities. We don't have same numbers of students. But when you look at the funding mechanism, it's almost the same. So this gives complications, difficulties to universities that have got more students compared to those that have low numbers of students. And to be honest with you, Honorable Minister, this is one reason why some universities may be reluctant to increase the access, because they are saying we have, our workload is huge, because we have more students already, very few members of staff compared to other universities within the same system. So that's why there is this proposal that maybe the support in the short to medium term. I'm saying this because I'm very optimistic that in the long term, government will not be funding universities. Honorable Minister, secondly, we are really appreciating government support in terms of local borrowing. Just to let the audience know that the government has opened up where you have an investment idea, but the resources are not there. Government has been able to come in and provide the support in terms of approving the proposal and even the sourcing of resources to support that investment. We are a good example, Honorable Minister. We have invested in mega farm, and we didn't have money to start our mega farm. The Ministry of Finance cleared us to borrow to support our investment. And we have now tractors that are operating at our mega farm, which we have gotten through borrowing. But at the same time, through the mega farm unit, we have been supported through a loan provision of inputs, seeds, fertilizers that we are using in the production of our mega farm. So this, to us, we feel is a very good opportunity for universities to start investing for future resource generation, rather than just depending on government. So for sure, Honorable Minister, of course I envy you with your mega farms. You've set a very good pace as an individual. Honestly, we are looking up to that. So imagine, why should institutions of higher learning not do or borrow that model in terms of investment? But one thing that I want just to put it clear, Honorable Minister, here, is that maybe the Ministry of Finance should be the referee, or should be standing in between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Trade. Because the mega farm initiative, excellent. But look at the direction. Look at the direction. Those involved into that are also looking direction. Because by now, maybe the Minister of Trade would have been saying, we have identified a market in India, in China, for soya. So agriculture should have been saying, this year, our mega farms should be soya, because we have a big market in China. That is not happening. So we are leaving farmers in suspense. So maybe Minister of Finance can come in to regulate or to control the two players. Honorable Minister, I was privileged. I was somewhere outside this country. I learned that this country demands a lot of soya from Malawi. And it came through our embassy to Malawi. But the ministries are not taking action. So we end up just producing a lot of maize. Yes, we need to have a balance of food self-sufficiency, but also export market, because our target is also Forex. So if there is no player in between to coordinate these two, we'll be losing out. There's a big, big, big opportunity for export markets. And these mega farms are already providing that platform, but not directed. Honorable Minister, there's also a potential for energy production in this country. My brother, Malawi, I think, talked about producing 1,000 megawatts in 2025. It's a tall order. Because currently, we are at less than 500 capacity of production, less than 500. Okay. And indeed, our president has directed that as a country, we need to produce up to 1,000 megawatts. That will also be important in supporting industrialization pillar within our Malawi 2063. There is an opportunity, a lot of players are coming into, and the Mzuzu University is one of them. Your Honorable Minister, we embarked on a project where we are now in the final stages. We'll be producing 50 megawatts of energy, of power, using solar at Choma. And we are very thankful to government, because it is government through His Excellency the President, Dr. Lazarus Makase Chakwera, that linked us to a German investor, where we managed to secure 70 million euros for the construction of this solar plant. So these, Honorable Minister, I feel these are the initiatives that the government must really be promoting, so that at least Mawat sazakuvutiseni every day. Believe you me, come 5 years, all these initiatives, once they're operational, they'll be able to support the operations of our systems. The tourism is also another niche area. Universities we visit outside, they've got big hotels, and making money from those hotels. Why not us? Why not us? We can get into that by investing, by you allowing us to borrow for the investment, not borrowing for consumption. Honorable Minister, the financial bills for higher education, we've seen that they have generated a lot of impact. A lot of impact. For example, when you look at Mzuni, infrastructure development has been supported through your Ministry of Finance and through the bills that you initiated through the ministry. I think that's a good approach in terms of supporting infrastructure development, rather than just depending on our limited resources that we generate locally to support such initiatives. So we recommend that, and we wish that they continue. PSIP. Last year, Honorable Minister, I also talked about it. This is another good initiative that the government has demonstrated that you can fund your own development using your own resources without depending on a donor or without borrowing. That's PSIP. PS Zimpita, last year I think I also mentioned the same. If you look at now a number of developments, including Mzuni Library. Mzuni Library, I said it last time, 100% funded by government through PSIP. And that library is going to be the biggest in Central and Southern Africa. The biggest, funded 100% by government. No donor in that library, PSIP. However, Honorable Minister, we are recommending that we need to improve on efficiency of running or managing PSIP. Last year, I mentioned the same. Personally, I see that this is a loophole where we're also losing a lot of money through construction projects. Because if a project is, for example, technical timelines are 3 years, maybe through PSIP, efforts must be made that that project be funded within that timeline. Because the moment you delay, there are a lot of penalties, interest that you incur to the contractor. And now I've just discovered why contractors are very happy with the government projects. Because they know it can stay 10 years without completion, And what they're going to claim in terms of interest and idle time is going to be even more than what was the original budget. So, Honorable Minister, we are losing a lot of money. A lot of money. And this money can actually culminate into another project, the money we are losing. And also, Honorable Minister, we are proposing through PS Zimpita that these PSIP projects, I think we also need to change the focus from consumption to investment, enterprise investment. Allow projects that tomorrow will be able to generate resources for that institution. Personally, I'm also another advocate that if we get that money and build an office complex, what are we going to generate from there? Why don't we put up something that is going to generate money, and from that money, in the future, we can build the office complex. So that prioritization is also important. Investment than consumption. Honorable Minister, the issue of PPP support, just to let the audience know that the government has also come in strongly supporting investments through PPP arrangements. And I was saying, where were we 20, 30 years ago? Because by now, we would have been owning these properties. Because normally in a PPP arrangement, they come through build, operate, and transfer. And when you look at the time frame for the transfer, maximum would be 25 years. And Mzuni, 10, 25 years last year, would have now a lot of structures there that were built and are built, operate, and transfer by now. Where were we? So we thank government for opening up that opportunity as well. And as I'm talking, we have embarked on the construction of hostels that will have 4,750 bed space at Mzuni through public-private partnership. And 20 years down the line, these will be properties of government. These will be properties of Mzuzu University. Where were we? So, Honorable Minister, that's another good approach that we think universities are going to be sustainable financially. Honorable Minister, this is our advocacy. We are saying, help universities move from 3.0 to 5.0. Last year, I think I also mentioned the same. My colleagues may also have mentioned it. Very important. Zimbabwe, they've done it. Zimbabwe also has 6 public universities. There was a deliberate effort from government as one way of winning sustainability strategy. They constructed innovation centers across. So through the innovation centers, universities are able to generate innovations, technologies, and they're able to establish spin-out, spin-offs companies, industrialization, and commercialize some of the products that come out of that. More importantly, are issues of patents. With an innovation center, you can be assured of producing patents. And patents is a good business, big business for universities. Big business for universities. Commercialization of the innovations, the technology that we have designed, we have developed. Honorable Minister, I can assure you, your universities are not going to be the same because there is revenue that they are going to generate through these processes will be able to outweigh what the government can provide. So it's also just about short to medium term investment. It's not just a 1 year kind of investment. Honorable Minister, this is the last part, just a reminder that the Choma campus dream is still on. The land is still there. It's about 1,260 hectares. The master plan was done, the feasibility study was done, and this campus, once developed, it has the capacity of 50,000 students. So those aspects of access in order for the country to promote knowledge-based economy will also be adequately addressed. So we have not buried this dream. Yes, we're talking about all these developments at the Ruvinga campus, but Choma is still our dream until we go to heaven.
Consider winding up. We are running short on time.
Yeah, this is my last slide. I guess you can see. Yeah, it's saying thank you for your attention. Yeah.
iye amenetu amayankhulawo ndi profesa Wosengeni kuchokeratu ku Nzuzu University. Iwo watu amayankhulira kuyimiriratu sukulu za ukachenjede ku chigawo chinotu chakumpoto. Ayankhulapotu fundo zosiyanasiyana koma mwina pang'ono Justin Mkweu amenetu ndi mtolankhani wathu amene akutiunikira nkhani zosiyanasiyana kungoyankhulapo mwachangu ayankhula fundo zotani profesa Wosengeni.
Anenapo zinthu zambiri monga mmene wanenera, koma kwambiri mfundo yawo yayikulu ndinena kuti ngati dziko tikhale ndi knowledge based economy yomwe anthu akuziwa chomwe akufuna kupanga, economy yomwe anthu ali ndi kuthekera kudziwa ndi kupanga ziganizo zofunikira. Kotero zomwe kwambiri anapempha kunena kuti boma liwonesese kuti likuyika ndalama zokwanira, chifukwa iwo ananena kuti human capacity, the Malawi 2063, tikamakamba za Malawi 2063, one of the enablers is human resource development, kuti anthu akhale anthu onena kuti akuziwa zomwe economy ikufuna, anthu akhale anthu onena kuti akuziwa zomwe akunena kuchita kuti akweze chuma cha dziko lino. Ndi iwo apempha kunena kuti chonde boma liyike ndalama zambiri, komanso apemphaso omwe timati public private partnerships, kunena kuti boma ndi anthu a private sector azitha kukumana pamodzi ndi kupanga zinthu zooneka. Apa kuti for example akumanga mahostel omwe muzakhala ana oposa 4,000 kuti azizagona mmene mumu, ndi yokhayokhayo ndi public private partnerships. Ndi apempha kunena kuti kumene kukoso kupite ndalama zambiri.
Anaperekapo chitsanzo za zimene wakunenazi kuti nthawi zina boma lidzitha kudziwa kuti chaka chino msika wa soya taupeza, anthu talimani soya, osangoti mwina nthawi zonse chimanga ngakhale tikuyenerabe kupanga balance kuti chimanga chobe sitingachisireni.
Ndipo izo zonso zikugwirizana ndi zomwe tinamva zulo ku Lilongwe, anzathu akuluwana mwina anzathu a sukulu amaziwa zomwe zikuyenera kuchitika. Ananena kuti pali zinthu zina mwina zomwe timayikapo subsidy monga chimanga, koma sitimatulusa kunja kwa dziko lino, koma zinthu zina monga fodya zomwe timagulisa kunja kwa dziko lino, soya zomwe timagulisa kunja kwa dziko mwina boma lionesese kuti layikapo subsidy komanso pali ndalama zambiri.
Chabwino tsopanotu mwina tikuperekeneni kutsogoloko kumenetu tsopano akuyankhulatu ndi mkulu wa bungwe la Nyika Institute awatu nda Moses Mkandawire.
One is that you have got your principal who has got his own needs and that he has got his own interests and that he would want to have his needs and interests served. And then secondly is that there is a population, us as citizens. We've got our own needs and aspirations. And all of us are looking up to you to ensure that you provide what is required of us based on the many issues that Reverend Muraga on behalf of us raised. And I do hope and believe that our colleagues in Lilongwe yesterday and also those in Blantyre will do the same. Each one of us would want to have their plate, being full so that we are satisfied when we eat. The question then is, why is the resource envelope, the size of resource envelope? It's not although that easy. If you're presenting a budget of, like last time, I think it was 5.9, 5.8 trillion, and then you look at the amount of money that is collected by our colleagues, MRA, and thanks a lot that the governor is here. Is it the governor or the Director General of MRA is here It's not easy. I do remember there was a time, I think a month, and I hope it applies almost every month, kind of, that our colleagues are given the targets in MRA. And on average, I do believe you can collect me, you're able to collect around 150 or 180 maybe billion Malawi kwacha per month. But then the same month, if I do remember, you discover in terms of the expenditure that is required on the part of your ministry to ensure that certain things are paid for because they are statutorily in nature. And one of them, I think, being the debt servicing. And the debt servicing that month was around 300 billion. And when you're looking at that, you add the salaries and wages, because this is another statutory obligation on the part of government. They wouldn't say, we won't pay you this month. They will definitely have to. They have to. Then in addition to that, they have to pay the pensions. And here we are only talking about debt servicing, salaries and pensions, and we have not included any development activity. And the amount that month, I do remember, was coming to about 380-something billion, vis-a-vis or relative to the amount of money that MRA at that material time had collected. And thanks that this month they collect a reasonable amount of money, which was amount to about 205 or 210 billion. So you're looking at the income that comes into, and then you're looking at the expenditure. So the expenditure is much more than the income. So what do we do? And that's why I sympathize with you, Minister, that you have to go elsewhere in order to borrow to finance some of these things that some of them are not productive in nature, and some of them that the loan you already got it from elsewhere, and we just have to. So the question then is, where do we get the money for development? Where? And that's why each and every year we also sympathize with you that we have the physical deficit. And a very big figure for that matter, 1.4 trillion. And I don't know how much it will be during this 2020, 2025, 2026. If you aggregate that again, that's why today, colleagues, we have over 15 or 16 trillion in terms of the debt. 16 trillion. You link that to the annual budget that we have. At the end of the day, is that let us accept we are in an economic quagmire. We have the physical challenge or crisis. We have the growth crisis when it comes to the GDP. Because on average, honestly, if you are to grow and develop as a nation, if you're looking at countries like China and us, at some point, 2005 up to 2009 or 10, thereabout, we were growing almost at 6-7%. And that's why we saw a lot of the ripple effects in terms of development. But this time around, it's averaging around 1.8, 1.9, even less than the population growth of the country. That is a big challenge. In addition to that, colleagues, sorry, I may not really go into the specifics. I'll just highlight a few things, given the fact that Professor has already raised a number of fundamental issues, and my colleague Malawi has also raised things that are required to be financed. But I think it's extremely important to reflect on where we are coming from, where we are in terms of the economy, and what is it that we can do together. The other challenge that we have is what we call the balance of payment challenge, where on average, I think the figure remains the same. If there are changes, there could be very minor, kind of. We import goods and services worth $3 billion US, and that we export to so many countries that we trade with, only equivalent to $1 billion US. Therefore, that gives us a deficit of $2 billion US. The question again is that where do we get the money to finance that deficit? It is not easy. If we are in this kind of a quagmire, there are a number of driving factors that have actually led where we are. And one of the things Honorable Minister, that we are very much concerned with. We understand that certain things you don't have any control over. Things around the geopolitics around the world, Ukraine, Israel, and whatsoever, that have negatively impacted on some of us because of the value chain systems have been disrupted. We understand that. Things around the drought, drought that we've talked about, the cyclone Freddy and other cyclones that have negatively impacted on us, we understand that you don't have any control over. But when it comes to matters around governance, accountability, and more so corruption, and the pervasive corruption that we're talking about, when we hear, read, and watch TVs and so on and so forth, each and every day we hear so much money has actually gone out. The butchery, that's where instead of buying fertilizer from a professional shop, they actually went into buying fertilizer from a butchery. We get biased with some of these stories, honestly. And these are purely man-made. And this one, it might be difficult to forgive you, Minister. Not you alone, but a number of individuals that operate within the government system. And if we're serious when it comes to the fight against corruption as a nation, we should have done something by now. We are very much concerned, particularly individuals like us who have been in civil society for over 30 years. We are worried. That's why we're saying, for how long should we keep on talking the same stories? For how long? For how long? It pains some of us, and more especially me, it does pain. And when those individuals who are alleged to be involved in misappropriating public resources are left free, scot-free, it also pains. It's better that get investigated without choosing a particular individual, whether he or she is in the current administration or was in the previous administration. They ought to be properly investigated and properly brought before the courts, and then the courts decide. Of course, we are also concerned very much so that we hear stories about what is happening in our justice system. But this one is for another day. But today we're dealing with issues around money, money, and money. And where is our money going? So we are following the money. That's one of the things that we should be talking about. So what should we do? In the short, amongst other things, I think a presentation will be shared with you, is that an appreciation, what my colleague talked about, the mega farms. I think this definitely, if properly managed and administered, can largely contribute to addressing some of the challenges, as Professor alluded to. That's fundamental. The industrialization system, I think that's quite fundamental also, because we can't just be selling the raw materials of the way, because we may not generate as much money as we ought to. Professor talked about some of the countries that would really want to get our products here, and then making reference to some of the embassies that we have created around across the world. Is very unfortunate that there are some individuals whom we've sent to these embassies are not doing enough in terms of marketing our country. And I think that's something that your ministry and your colleagues in government ought to do something about it. And performance-based is fundamental quite a lot. And then put those kind of targets, say, hey, if you're a trader attaché, how much would you have achieved in a particular year? Given the products that we are producing in this country, I think that's very fundamental for us. Don't just allocate individuals for the sake of it, because into Algeria, and therefore they can go to Zambia, they can go to Mozambique. No, let's move away from that. I think that's very fundamental. One of the things, in short, that we also ought to request of your ministry is our colleagues in the construction sector. The construction sector, if properly managed and supported, I think that can also largely contribute to bringing a lot of money, stabilizing the economy that we're talking about, and generating the forex. If you ask companies that come from outside, they are generating a lot of money into their countries. You know, think about Portugal, the economic quagmire that it went through, and then you see the motor engines and other companies from there. They were actually supported by their own governments. Can you not do the same in future? You must start small. Support the local contractors so that they can go to Zambia, they can go to South Sudan, and generate the much needed forex that we need. I think it's very fundamental. One of the things the contractors are complaining is that the tax that has been imposed on them, particularly the withholding tax, I think it was about 3 or 4% previously. This time around, it's around, I think, 10. I think they're complaining. It will be important that as we reflect on the 2025, think about either reducing or removing that kind of tax so that these individuals can enjoy and they can contribute effectively to the growth and development of our country. Above that, the same institutional structure is complaining because the road fund administration is not properly funded such that these individuals have stayed 4 years, 5 years without being paid their money. How do they contribute to the economy? And most of them are becoming poorer because banki awalanda zintu zimene anakapereka kuti atenge ngongole. I hope I'm speaking on your behalf, contractors, wherever you are. The other issue, the Minister, is the issue of the mining. And I'm very happy that you always talk about it. That's going to largely contribute to providing an alternative way in how we can generate resources. But unfortunately, when we see clips, we read stories, you discover that some of these investors have got almost 100% shareholding. And they talk about how they generate money in billions of dollars. You have the Kasia project. You have the Karinkunde whatsoever. You have the Kanyika. You have the, nowadays we call it Lotus, but previously we used to call it Kairekera. How many Malawians are involved in these, kind of extractive industries? So I think we are pleading with your ministry and also government to ensure that let Malawians be involved and that let Malawians also, when we sell these kind of products, but especially when extraction or production has started and the marketing of it, we need to take part in that and ensure that we have either a 51% or a 49% holding. Botswana is doing it. And if some of the contracts were wrongly signed or agreed upon, there's always room to revisit some of these contracts. Honestly, we want money into our coffers, other than investors coming here, collecting all what belongs to us, and then sharing between amongst themselves wherever they are. I think this, for us, is an issue, and please consider it. As I've said, colleagues, would rather hear more from you, but I think these are some of the issues that I wanted to highlight with you, and I shouldn't really go into the specifics, but much appreciated for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nika Institute. Next, Honorable Minister will have a presentation from the Malawi Local Government Association, and the presentation will be made by the Chief Executive Officer of the Blantyre City, who is also an executive member to the association. You have the floor.
Yeah, amenetu angomaliza kuyankhulawo ndi Moses Nkandawire amenetu ndithu akuchokera ku bungwe la Nika Institute konkunotu ku Mzuzu. Iwo ayankhulatu nkhani zosiyanasiyana, anatsindika nkhani inanso yokhudzana ndi mining migodi kuti itapititsidwa patsogolo dziko lino lisintha. Nde pakadali pano amenetu alowa mbwalo ndi amene akuyimira mabungwe omwe saboma amenewa ndi Malawi Local Government Association. Tifere kumeneko.
Government authorities in Malawi. I know we are running short of time, so I'll try to be very brief, but at the same time picking up the key issues that we are to present as the local government authorities. Honorable Minister, allow me to begin with by thanking the Ministry for giving us this opportunity that we can make a presentation that highlights the key issues that we believe have to be accorded to the local authorities if we are to really meaningfully contribute towards the development of the country. Just for a start, we would want to thank the Ministry and your officer specifically for some of the benefits that we have had in the 2024-2025 budget, which are emanating from the pre-budget consultation meetings that we had last year. Just to highlight, one of the issues that I want to focus on is the issue of the devolution of the Health Rehabilitation Fund to the remaining 23 councils. It's something that we had requested, and we actually got the commitment from your office, and currently all the councils are benefiting from the Health Rehabilitation Fund, which is a remarkable achievement or a takeaway from the pre-budget consultation meeting that we had last year. An addition that we have seen as councils is the issue of the extension of the rehabilitation of roads to other peri-urban councils. In the past, I think it was ending at the 4 city councils, namely Blantyre, Lilongwe, Nzuzu, and Zomba. But in the just ending financial year, we have seen this being extended to other peri-urban councils, namely Dedza, Amawe of Salima, and the other peri-urban councils. This is also a takeaway from the pre-budget consultations that we had last year, and we thank your office for this consideration. Just to indicate, to show commitment from the government that you are really committed to ensure that the local councils are able to perform without challenges. We noticed that when the mid-year budget review session was in progress, the local government authorities' budget remained intact as it was in the initial presentation that you made when you were presenting the budget. This is also a remarkable contribution or achievement on our part, because knowing the path that the country went through in the past financial, or in the just ending financial year, we were a bit worried, thinking that there are going to be some cuts to the budget. But you lived by your word, and you supported the councils by ensuring that the budget still remained intact. This is something that we really want to thank your officer and all the relevant technical officers that are guiding your day-to-day work. In the interest of time, I would not want to belabor the audience much on the mandate of MAGA, but I want to just to summarize by indicating that the Malawi Local Government Association is there to advocate, or it's an umbrella body for local government authorities in Malawi, which is actually established by the government, and therefore it's a partner for the government. Because at times when we have advocacy bodies, the thinking is that they are working in parallel to government, but MAGA is there to support the government in making sure that we are able to advance the decentralization agenda for the benefit of the people that the local councils manage. Honorable Minister, as I'll be making our submission, I'll try as much as I can to pick out the key issues that we believe are needed by the councils, so that the people we are serving at the grassroots can benefit from the provisions in the budget. Let me start by indicating that as local authorities, we are empowered, or we are mandated to make decisions at the local levels. We are aware we have the central government, and then we have the local governments which are supporting the implementation of the central government agenda. So we are aware that our presence on the ground means a lot to the realization of the agenda that the government advances. We are aware we have the Malawi Agenda 2063 before us. We are aware of the path that the government wants to take. And therefore, all this can only be achieved if we are fully supported by as local authorities from the center. Honorable Minister, I would want to thank the ministry, as we have seen over the years that there has been a lot of support from the central level to the local authorities. despite possibly a lot of negativity that has been there in the past, we have seen the government and your office supporting us to realize that we really present a positive picture to the people that we are overseeing. This, to a certain extent, has been seen as evidenced by the reports from the National Audit Office, where we have seen a tremendous improvement as far as the provision of clean audits to councils is concerned. We know this wouldn't have been achieved if we didn't have support from the center, but with that support, we have been able to manage the resources to the expectation of the people that we are managing. We are aware that despite the meaningful, or despite the tremendous progress that we have seen, there are still some gaps as far as the provision of the necessary resources to the local authorities are concerned. Just to indicate that as local authorities, we have so many devolved functions from the center, which unfortunately do not go with the resources that are supposed to accompany those functions. Let me indicate that we have seen most of the times the resources being retained at the center, only the function being devolved to the local authorities. As a result, you'd see that there is little progress on a number of devolved functions at the local level. Just to mention, I would give you examples, maybe the environmental function, gender and social care function, trade functions, mining functions. You notice that there's little activity at the local level. Why? It's because that function is not accompanied by the resources to enable the officers carry out that mandate. So it's our plea as local authorities that we should match the devolution of functions with the necessary resources. And as you are making these pre-budget consultation sessions, this is a cry from the local authorities that we are ready to work. We are ready to save the community. However, we cannot save them ably if we lack the necessary resources. On our part as local authorities, we have got revenue sources and we are trying our best to make sure that we can mobilize the necessary resources. However, this has to be supported by the necessary resources from the center. Honorable Finance Minister, let me also indicate that we also have non-devolution of funds for payroll management and recruitment processes. You are aware that there has been some functional review at the local level where the HR function is now part and parcel of the local governments. Unfortunately, it's again the same story. It's only the function, but the resources haven't been advanced to the local authorities. As a result, councils are still facing challenges to finance the payroll and recruitment processes. It has reached an extent where, as councils, we have to finance the activities of the Local Government Service Commission as far as recruitment is concerned. When we thought by devolving the function, this particular function should have also been devolved with the necessary resources. This, at the end of the day, has resulted in creating pressure on the limited resources that are at the local level. Again, Honorable Minister, in terms of sector funds, we know that, as I've already indicated, that there's so much that has been devolved, or there are so many sectors that have been devolved to the local authorities. However, as I earlier indicated, the funding or the budget for the sectors haven't really been proportionate to the function that has been devolved. It's like tungotengani ntolo ndukutulirani and you see whatever uzimemunga kapange background. But we believe that there must be a balance because you can meaningfully carry out the task if you have the necessary resources. Honorable Minister, you may recall that during the 2022-2023 financial year, there was an amendment to the Taxation Act that actually provided for councils to not to issue business premises license unless the business person submit a tax clearance certificate. This for us was a positive and a commendable direction, and we believe that it's one of making sure that the government was able to collect more revenue to finance the various government activities. However, there has been a challenge as it has been noted that it's more on the benefit of MRA than the councils, because it's like the process has started, but it's not being completed. We thought this should be more like complementary to each other. Our understanding is that the business persons who seem to have not complied with the requirement, we should make sure that at least to a certain extent, there must also be evidence that there has been tax clearance at the local level. So we thought that it must be a joint effort, but not a one-way relationship. Because currently it's the councils don't do this until it happens this other end. But our thinking was, as MRI, they should also help the councils to make sure that together we jointly work in making sure that we can meaningfully contribute towards the development of the local authorities. So our request as local authorities is that we must include a requirement that a property rates clearance certificate and the council business license for a tax clearance certificate must be issued before the tax clearance certificate is issued. In that way, we believe it's going to be a two-way relationship. As local authorities, we are also going to benefit from the same provision. Honorable Minister, you are aware that the Local Government Act, as well as the National Decentralization Policy, also provides for seeded revenue, which for so long hasn't been operationalized. So we have been talking about seeded revenue, both in the Act as well as the National Decentralization Policy, the previous one, the 1998 Decentralization Policy, as well as the current one, the 2024 Decentralization Policy. But not much has happened to the local authorities. Just to indicate that when we are looking at city revenue, we are looking at revenues collected from toll fees, vehicle registration fees, fuel levy, gambling fees, and industrial registration fees. However, to date, as local authorities, we haven't benefited from these seeded revenues. It is our plea that there must be necessary guidelines that will ensure that we operationalize the sharing of seeded revenue between the center and local authorities so that we can meaningfully contribute towards local development. Honorable Minister, as the local authorities, we are aware of the huge demands that are before the pace that you are holding at Treasury. That is why we are pushing in this request of at least making sure that we get a share of the city revenue so that we can easily try to contribute at that local level without creating much pressure at the central government. As I'm going towards conclusion, we would also request as local authorities that we should try as much as we can to advocate for the devolution of not only functions, but again the necessary resources for the local authorities so that we can meaningfully contribute towards the execution of the same functions. But at the same time, our other recommendation is that central government should think of now devolving funds for payroll management and recruitment processes. Because most of the times at local level, you'll find that our officers are moving up and down to the center to handle issues related to payroll management, when we thought since this function has been devolved, then it should actually be done at the center. As I also indicated, our plea is that the taxation amendment should include property rates clearance certificate and a provision where MRA should ensure that before issuing a tax clearance certificate, they confirm that the customer has a property rates clearance certificate. We believe that the principle of funding the devolved functions should be strictly observed, because that's the only way that we actually move in line with the provisions of the decentralization policy of 2024. We are also requesting that the center provide feasible and attainable guidance on the budget role of the local authorities, Ministry of Local Government, and OPC on the welfare of chiefs, because it's also an area that councils are really struggling at the local level, and it is our belief that together we are going to make sure that we really aim for something better. We are also requesting that government should seriously consider increasing the monthly honorarium for ward councillors, which has been stagnant for over 3 years. In the same vein, we are also aware that the tenure for the councillors is ending in June 2025. So it's our humble reminder to your office that we consider budgeting for the payment of their gratuity as is always provided for in their terms and conditions, which we know your office is already aware. We are also aware that we will actually be going to the polls in September 2025, and therefore we are going to have a new crop of councillors. We have noted at the local level that mobility has been an issue, so we'll continue requesting your officer that we consider making a provision for a waiver of taxes for the councillors to enable them carry out their duties on the ground. If we are to strategically position the local government authorities as key actors in the economic recovery and attainment of Malawi 2063, we request that the local government authorities members are motivated to provide meaningful and constructive oversight role to the Secretariat. As we continue commending the government for partially decentralizing the drug budget, the 10% developed so far has proved to be very instrumental in improving the health service delivery. However, we believe 10% is not adequate, and it's our humble request that we consider devolving about 50% of the drug budget to the local authorities to ensure that there are swift response to the needs of the health sector at the local level. I should also thank the Minister of Finance and your officer that as a councils, we have noted and appreciated that the Infrastructure Development Fund as well as the District Development Fund have only remained the funding windows which can be used by the local authorities in a way that represent the needs of the local authorities. IDF and DDF are actually providing some sort of realization of the district council plans or district development plans that we have at that local level, as well as the urban development plans. And we therefore believe that there must also be consideration in increasing the provisions of the Infrastructure Development Fund as well as the District Development Fund. I know our Reverend, when he was making a presentation, I think he showed something to do with a school. We believe if we have enough resources under the DDF, I believe next time we shouldn't be standing here and complaining about that, because that can be handled at the local level. So it's our plea that we consider increasing the provisions of the District Development Fund as well as the Infrastructure Development Fund. Honorable Minister, and all the protocols observed, as I conclude, allow me once again to thank all of you for really taking your time to consider and listen to the contributions from the people whom you have mandated to manage our government agenda at the local level. We believe that with proper empowerment as far as resources are concerned, we can do a better job than what we are currently doing. I would go back to the presentation by our Reverend, where he had shown some meaningful developments. We talked about developments in Blantyre and Lilongwe. He actually said, I would also want to see the same happening in Zuzu and anywhere else. What I want to indicate is that that is possible because the local governments were meaningfully empowered. So in the same way, we would actually request that you continue giving the support to the local authorities by ensuring that the devolution goes together with the necessary support in terms of resources. It's only if we have the funding to carry out the various mandates that we have, when as local authorities, we can meaningfully contribute towards the attainment of the national agenda. So, sir, we wish you well as you be formulating the 2025-2026 budget, and it's our belief that the local governments are really going to be at the heart of your office. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, local councils. Honorable Minister, at this juncture, I would like to invite Dr. Muntali to lead in the deliberation for the floor to make their contributions. Thank you. We'll have a maximum of 30 minutes for this session.
No, thank you so much, Honorable Minister. In the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, all protocols observed. I want to, I think, request the audience to give a big round of applause for all those that have made the presentations this morning. I think they've highlighted very pertinent issues, and I so believe that they've spoken for a lot of some of you. So when you are going to intervene in the discussions, when you're making your proposals, suggestions to the minister, don't waste time to say what they've already said, because we don't have much time. We have 30 minutes, and we want to maximize that time. Suffice to mention that we all need a good quality of life. That's what the budget is supposed to be looking at. But for us to have that good quality of life, we also need to be able to suggest where do we get those resources from. At the same time, where do we prioritize the expenditure of those resources? And perhaps how do we make sure that we cut off on certain areas where we think there's waste? And I think you stand in a very good position to advise the minister, so that when he and the team is crafting this particular 2025-26 budget, it is talking to the good life that Malawians need across the whole country. And so, in the interest of taking as many suggestions as possible, I will be allowing that you just pick on your topmost suggestion, your topmost proposal. So if you have 3 or 4, just pick on your topmost, so that we get to hear as many of us making contributions. And we'll also limit as much as possible to around a minute, so that you be to the point. So don't say, by background, I also want to give a preamble. No, we don't need that. Just go straight to the point. The minister is all ears, and we will be taking notes from the technical team. The Minister of Finance officials are here. National Planning Commission is here, so we'll be taking notes to make sure that nothing that you say here is lost. Take note that the idea is to get these proposals because we don't expect to be responding to the issues today. The minister and team will take time to reflect carefully once they get back to base, but he and team might be willing to provide clarity where there's need, not necessarily responding to the issues that you're putting forward today, because a lot of them are pertinent. In any case, never, don't withhold your inputs, because it could be a transformative idea. So don't think your idea is useless. Please highlight it, bring it out, and then we'll take note of it. So let me get the first hand. I'll try as much as possible to balance with gender and youth and the elderly. So, all right, so we start here in front. Please mention your name and the institution you're representing, or where you're coming from.
Zina langa ine ndi Frederick Bile Malata, kuchokera ku mbadwa zokhuzidwa. Honorable Minister, munthawi imene tinaluza Honorable Gudo Gondwe, we thought Malawi has lost. Koma tikuona inuyo Honorable Minister pampando umenewu kuti a president akhulupiriranso kuti muli pomwepo. It's a trust kuti mukugwira ntchito yoyenera imene you can even consult the IMF and donor confidence kumabwera. Koma ineyo chimene tikufuna kunena ndichonena kuti ma meeting onse amene akumachitika ma boardrooms, all the PhD, the doctors and the like, onse wakulira kunena kuti chuma cha dziko lino chikhale chokhazikika. Koma politics imene ikuchitika mu dziko lino la Malawi ndi imene ikumasokoneza kuti timafuna tikangomaliza zisankho lero ndi kuti mawa tiyambeso zisankho zina. Kotero kuti corruption imene yakhala ikuchitika mu dziko lino ikupangitsa kunena kuti chuma cha dziko lino chisamakhazikike. As a result, ena kumabwera ndi kumapangirapo the campaign the government. Ndimafuna ndiulule pano kapena kuti nding'alule pano kunena kuti pali anthu amene ali ndi magalimoto very luxurious amene amawamangira mpanda nyumba yomweyo yogonayo ndi kuyimanga mpanda galimoto ndipezeka mkati mwa nyumba yawo kudikira kuti pazabwere president amene azawateteze then azayituluse galimoto. Pali anthu amene ali ndi chuma cha nkhaninkhani chimene achikumbira pansi sikumaona ngati ndi chitsime koma mkati momuli ndalama. Ndimafuna ndikupempheni honorable minister.
You've got 30 seconds.
Yes, mafuna ndikupempheni honorable minister kuti muganizire mwina kusinthanso currency yathu imene ilipo kuti ndalama zimene azisungasungazi zitabwerera ku reserve bank kuti chuma cha dziko lino chibwerere mchimake. Number 2, ndimafuna ndipemphe honorable minister kunena kuti tikumanga anthu oba nkhuku mbava zenizeni zili kunja kuno ndeti kumadyesa akuba nkhuku aja mamawa kuwapasa chakudya kuwapasa magetsi kuwapasa china chilichonse chifukwa chonena kuti iwo ndi osauka pamene olemera amene aba chuma chathu ali kunja kuno. Kotero kuti ena amanena mu parliament kuti konzani ma prison amafuna kuti azikakhala pabwino ndi chuma chawo. Timafuna tikupempheni kuti taganizirani kuti amene ali ma prisoners oba nkhuku aja atachokako kumene kuja kuti azikagwira ntchito kuma community cholinga chonena kuti kumene kuja kukhale mbava zenizeni.
Thank you so much. I think you've made your point. Yes, yourself, and then we'll go next.
As usual. My name is Martin Kumwenda. I am a resident of Mzuzu. Let me say, Mr. Facilitator, by limiting us to 1 minute, it is not on.
Make it 1 hour.
I beg if you can maybe give an individual maybe 3 minutes, that would be okay.
I wish I could do that, but the minister and team have to leave.
Yeah.
So we need to also. He has been gracious, actually.
The issue is, each and every year when the minister comes here, we listen to the very people who have been listening to. Yeah. And nothing is changing in the governance of our economy. So would you give a chance to either these local people, yes, even the chiefs, to also have a podium? Because by just limiting to a second or a minute, that won't be helpful. So please bear with me. I'll also not take too much time. I know I'm time conscious as well. But
Thomas,
I will only dwell on the road infrastructure and agriculture. These two only.
Thomas.
On road infrastructure.
Just a moment. The minister wants to intervene.
I think my dear brother Adak Mwenda has a point.
Yes.
Ndi agama kupempha amene anakubatsa alongo wawo umakanaso ngati. Right. So give them 3 minutes and then you just limit the number.
Most obliged, Minister. Okay, let me start with the road infrastructure. And the first presenters had already touched on several of the roads. I'll only touch on one road which concerns me most, and that road is called Ekwendeni, Mutwaro, Kafukule, Muzalangwe, Eswazini, Muzimba Road. Just see the name of the road itself. It is bringing in a certain story. This road started to be constructed in 2009, and part of it, just 20 kilometers from Ekwendeni, was launched in 2014 by the then president. But in all these years, the Minister of Finance has been putting an allocation to the road, but nothing is happening on the ground. Now, looking at the way development is done in Malawi, it's like some parts of Malawi are second-class citizens. We don't value them. Now, the same road passing through several chiefs, Sabtie Yohan Jere, Senior Chief Mtwaro, Senior Chief Mperembe, Tie Chindi, Tie Kampingo Swande, and Paramount Chief Mberwa. The road has a lot of people around it. It's an area where there is a lot of development. It's an area where a lot produce tobacco, and that is towards the economy of our country. So I'm just begging the minister, maybe for the last time, Honorable Minister, for the last time this year, if we listen to your budget presentation next month, we should hear of an allocation to this road from Ekwendeni to Muzimba. But again, that road construction should be physically be seen being done on the road, unlike just putting in the budget a lot of money, but we don't know where that money is going to. Because of the same, the chiefs around that area, which I have stated, are being pressurized by the citizens around that area. And some of the citizens are even taking the chiefs as not being beneficial to them. But it is the way things are run in terms of development allocation. The second point is on agriculture. I salute those who stated that mega farms and maybe NIF initiatives are bringing in a change to the way we may manage our agriculture. But I will just single out one area with NIF. As I'm talking now, NIF is distributing urea fertilizer now. This is mid-January. They have maybe not even started distributing what we call 23-21 NPK. That again shows a very big gap in terms of planning. How can you give a farmer mid-January the fertilizer that is a top dressing, and you forget to give him the basal dressing first? So when it comes to planning, if we don't have reliable planners in our offices, you may as well consider that as an area where we need improvement. With the mega farms.
Right, so maybe we can stop there for now?
Okay,
if you don't mind, so that we get as many others to us.
With mega farms, I was just stating, you say maybe we start with 20 hectares. There are some people here who have maybe 5 hectares, but can be very productive. Minister, you can consider all those small-scale farmers to also be funded through mega farms, unlike only targeting those who have large farms.
Right. No,
those
your point
were my contributions. Thank you.
You see, when a father, favors a child in the house, umafuna kuti utaka kwapula kumakopa so bambo wako kuti kuma amba kundikalipiranso. Now, we have to mind the time. We are finishing, we should have finished at 12, but I think, Honorable Minister, with your indulgence, maybe at the maximum, if we have up to 10 past, Honorable Minister, up to 10 past, is that okay? So that I take just a few, so that 10 past we're done. So in that case, we have two options. If you speak 3 minutes, it means you're taking time for the others. So if you speak 1 minute, it means you're leaving room for the others. I will only be able to take a maximum of 10 if some of you speak 3 minutes. So please reserve the time for your colleagues. Yes, there, Charles.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I have a few questions that you may need to assist me.
Pick on your one most important one.
Yes. Where are we with the MDC? Which you very well understand as a vehicle that we have been talking about. And then quickly, Reserve Bank Governor, on the recent restrictions on Forex, particularly the most recent one, in which you have instructed government institutions to transfer the FCD accounts to Reserve Bank, and also directed that all those with the FCD accounts, automatically or within 48 hours or so, transfer those resources. I want to understand the rationale behind it and the implications that we are creating, with this very restrictive, policy. The last one is also just to...
Charles, I hope you are going to be very brief with that because we want to take as many, please.
Yes. There is a proposal, Honorable Minister, that we've been talking about ADMAC reforms. If you are talking about commercialization of the agricultural sector, the state must provide the leadership, and the ADMAC really is a very strategic institution. But we know that capitalization or recapitalization of ADMAC remains critical. Is it not possible this time around that we open up ADMAC to shares so that we allow the private sector, for example, get 30% of the shares, and then we can use the investment from the private sector to recapitalize ADMAC so that it is able to provide strategic leadership as one of the big players in our economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Can I have a lady? This side, please. A lady? A lady? Yes, please. Stand up.
Okay, thank you. This is Juvita Sindani from Spinal Injuries Association of Malawi, which advocate for the rights for persons with disabilities, especially with the spinal injuries. So we face unique challenges which people with the spinal cord injury involve. But through you, Minister of Finance, we deliberate to you that SCIs, together with the disability here in Malawi, they face disability-related issues. This talks about social protection. People with disabilities here in Malawi, they have a lot of challenges in terms of how they should source the money on themselves. Through this, Minister, we recommend to you that you have to consider people with spinal cord injuries and the people with disabilities so that they should have well-being of life in their everyday life and in their different homes without seeing the status of this individual. Number two, we are talking of increasing the funds to DRF. These funds may help them to have their loans. There are people with disabilities to have their loans. But this is a main challenge to people with disability. They are being denied to have this chance. But we know that each and everyone has the rights. We are advocating for human rights, to access to financial issues. I'm here today to have these issues on board, that people with disabilities, they should, through Minister of Finance, you should take on board that you should make the mechanism of processing the loans for people living with disabilities. And also,
I hope that's enough for now.
Thank you so much.
We can come back to you at some point if there's need. Submissions. It's not stopping here. What proposal that you have, so please feel free to engage his office so that you can have all those proposals in. Now, next, I want to take somebody who has a proposal on where the minister can get revenues. I've done a lot here, but let's go to this side first before I come back here. Revenue. Yes, please. By the way, you are free to speak in whatever language, whether Tumbuka, Chewa, kujiruma ya iparamaona kuti mbwe chitani teura.
Suzo ndo tuwapulike ya chitumbuka.
Yati watantawuzirenge.
Okay, tawonga. Honorable Minister, I have a proposal. Kumene munga peze ndalama. Proposal ya mbirira ndia kushita introduce tax for salaries, president, vice president, ministers, MPs. That's the first proposal. Second proposal, I remember in the same house last year, and inanena hapo zoti pali ma businesses yena, especially ali owned ndi anzatu aku west mumpepete mwanyanja yatu ya Malawi. MRA sitolera msonko yokwanira chifukwa ambiri alendo amene amabwera kunoko they pay drama kumaikwa kwawo chifukwa ali ndi ma accounts, and let me follow up.
Can we start looking at how best we can even get the riru that belongs to the Malawians from Chikangawa? The other issue, Honorable Minister, the Kasasile, the ASM, His Excellency during his first State of the Nation address, he really indicated the billions that we keep losing. Malaisense ajana perekedwa kwa anthu ena woti situkwadziwa. Amene akutibera miyalai. Bwanji titabwerera tikaone kuti are they really bona fide Malawians as a starting point. Malaisense abwerere kueni yake ya Malawi. Tiye tuone kuti ndi drama zanji zomwe atibera mzaka zonsezi amangidwe. Kukasasire ukuku, matraki maika yomwe kupanga maine ukuku is being transported. Akumale ntaso momuno muikwendeni umu. There are a lot of minerals, including the Usingini hydro, Kunyakatali Falls, as part of the tourist.
All right,
can we make sure that we can also
you've
get?
made your point on
but
that
where
point.
we can cut waste?
Yes, yes.
Honorable Minister, simple. Chepesani, Malawan says, amene akupita kuma members of parliament. Thank you.
Okay, that's not it. At the back there was a hand that has been coming up. A gentleman in blue, yes, in a red tie.
I'm Wellings Chirambo, president of Njinga Association. The question is, where can we get money? The money we can get from the Kabaza people. How can we get this money? You are aware, Honorable Minister, that the Kabaza people, they are doing their business daily.
Excuse me. Can those that are controlling the mics reduce his volume? I think he's naturally got a bigger voice.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Fine. Honorable Minister, the Kabaza people, they are doing their business daily, and yet they don't pay taxes to the government. But how can they pay the government the taxes? You are supposed to reduce taxes so that they manage to pay to the government. How many are they? There are so many. There are so many. To the north, we have one number of them. As I'm talking as the president of the north, I want to assure you, if you can reduce the taxes, we'll be able to access to pay taxes easily.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You've made your point. I have a few more minutes. I need a lady. A lady? Yes, in here. There's a lady just here. I'll come in front here after that lady.
I'm Anna Msoya Keys, Kwitu Kitchen. Honorable Minister, thank you for your hard work and what you're doing. And I think the question is, where can we reduce waste? I think the most important thing is our cabinet is too big. That's the first place where we can reduce waste there. Not that I'm bashing the government, that because we are at a point where the economy is really, really bad. And we need to actually be able to reduce things like that, because all those ministers, deputy ministers, MPs, and what have you, it's the same taxes that we are giving that they're taking. So I think if we can start there, it will be very helpful. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much for that point. By the way, when I'm nodding my head, doesn't mean I'm agreeing with all your points you're making, right? I'm just saying, yeah, make as many points that you can. Let's come in front here.
Honorable Minister, I'm Gomizieka Mkandaire.
Or maybe you can sit down so that your voice is moderate, yeah.
On reducing waste, one of the things is what are we doing with the various state houses? We have the state house in Zomba, we have Tuntama in Lilongwe, or several others. It's talking about having places for presidents where they can stay. You can have presidential suites in hotels, so that these are put to use. I mean, these could be big hotels or places that international organizations can use. And I think we can generate resources from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I only have 2 minutes left. I'll take one here and one this side. I'll just go by the person who grabs the first mic, goes ahead to speak.
Here.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Honorable Minister, and all protocols. I'll just hit the points. Honorable Minister, make a facelift to Mzuzu roads, number 1. Number 2, fix M11. It will help tourism development in the northern region. M11 runs from Chiveta to Mpamba on Mzuzu Nkatabe Road. Secondly, generate more electricity from the lake facilities. We have very good facilities at Chitimba, maybe take care to be more, to be specific, other than relying on the hydro. The lake can give us a lot of electricity, and we can export that to the neighboring countries, and we generate lots of forex. Honorable Minister, also.
Thank you so much. I think.
One last one, please. Please complete the development of Northern Corridor. It will give us a lot of forex. Connect Chilumba to Tazara Railway, connect Chilumba to Tazara Pipeline. These will give us a lot of revenues. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you a lot.
Well, my name is Shekana Kasambala.
Yeah.
I'm a student at Mzuzu University. Honorable Minister,
whilst expressing my great gratitude for increasing the amount of the upkeep allowance that students from the higher institutions get from the loans board, I would like to ask your ministry, Honorable Minister, if it can make a special budget or a special funding to the loans board so that the loans board starts accepting the applications from the upgrading students, because Mzuzu University has upgrading students, and Domas and Nalikule have also the economic fee paying students, and these are not considered needy students as of now, Honorable Minister. So likely we have the Vice Chancellor of Mzuzu University who is here. I think apana wakwaza undikila umboni and hauvutika ma university. And these people are withdrawing kukanika kupeleka fees ma university. So, Honorable Minister, this is a loan. These people will pay back. Ndi maganiza bwana Minister kuti and hawawa atapangidwa incorporate. Again, Honorable Minister, I would like to ask your ministry to abandon the decentralized process of recruiting teachers and the other officers in the government. Panopa, Minister, we have aphunzitsi amene anapangidwa train kale mwina 2020 sanalembedwebe ntchito chifukwa recruitment ikuchitikira pa district council. Honorable Minister, I'm asking, kuti mwina mutapanga a special budget for recruitment of these people, at least mwina IPTE 14 and 15 atalembedwa ntchito, so that at least anthu aonjezere the workforce in maskulu. Chifukwa izizi zomwe lembedwa pa council level, pamene tikulimbana ndi katangale zikupezeka zona zoti pamene tikuchulukisa katangale kwambiri chifukwa anthu akuti alembedwe ntchito zikupezeka zona zoti kumeneka kuti alipire bwina wake ndrama kuti alembedwe ntchito.
Right, your point has been made.
That's it.
Point has been made. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've run out of time.
Yes. A minute.
Honorable Minister, can we take that last one? Okay.
Yeah, my name is Moya Walita, HRDC Chair North. I would like to propose two things. One, to control the waste where we are losing money, and the second one, how to generate resources. The first one is we should borrow a reef from Rumpi District Hospital, where we have a paying ward. If all district hospitals can have a separate paying ward, we can be raising a lot of funds, and at least that funds be supporting the hospitals in one or two activities at the same hospital. Secondly, on how to generate more funds, is the same Nyika Road. Nyika is the heaven on earth. If you have been at Nyika National Park, you agree with me. No tourist can go there now because during rainy season, because the road is just very bad. Finish the road and it will generate a lot of resources at Nyika National Park. Last, Bwana Minister, there is we are waiting for a new hospital at Rumpi District Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. I think you've seen the minister has really been gracious with time. We're supposed to finish at 12, but he's stretched himself up. I think we should give a round of applause to the minister for really extending the time for us.
Don't worry about Mr. Next time.
Having said that, at this juncture, I will, I think in the interest of time, hand back to Williams, who will then take us through with the last stages. But otherwise, one more time, a big round of applause to yourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Montali. At this juncture, we'll be having the closing remarks from the minister, and thereafter we'll have a closing prayer from Mr. Kayonanga Gondwe, who opened the meeting and will be closing, as well as blessing the food which is before us. Honorable Minister, please.
Ineso dibange ngati asingili kuchita he reminded me of our traditional practice umakwera njinga yakapalasa umaimva kuti yaphulika nde umatsika umadina betayala to confirm kuti atanidi yaphulikadi. Traditionally, the way these meetings are designed that a minister is not supposed to provide prompt responses, but rather the minister and the ministry should take note. So number one, I want to assure you that we have compiled all the issues, starting from Lilongwe, here, and Blantyre. And be assured that we are putting much attention to the issues raised. And if you've noted, we were conferring there. Right here, we were actually trying to deliberate on the order of priority based on how the issues are coming out. And just as I said in the morning, the issues we gotten from Lilongwe are quite similar to the issues we got in here. We assume they might also be similar with the issues that we might get in Blantyre. That speaks to one thing. These are real issues. These are genuine issues affecting Malawians. Yesterday, somebody in the Central Region, I think it was Limbani Sabat or someone else, in his submission number 3 was in Kosimberwa University. You can imagine. He's in the Central Region, he's an expert in education, he's thinking about sharing the cake. Sharing of cake. Providing answers. Some of the issues will see the right of the day. Others will be on the parking lot. The ministry will still consult. We can still come back to you. Some of the issues that you've submitted here, you have submitted them in summary form. We might need more details on how that can work. So if you see the minister calling you, it's not like you have offended the minister, but the minister would like to get more details. You know, when people show the positive anger because they think what they think is right to develop this country, but it seems like it's taking time for that thing to be realized. Those are the contributions that we need. Sitting closer to the CG of Malawi Revenue Authority was actually nodding when my mom from Lumpi, Kalonga, by the way, I married in Chitiba, so I passed through that road. I need a toll gate myself. When he was talking about toll gates, he was actually confiding in me, you know what? We already have plans. We need toll gates. We simply need to do it now. Because we are also looking at the foreign trucks that are passing through our roads. They're not giving us anything. Okay? So, thank you very much for all these. Yes, issues to do with revenue sharing models for our mines, but also the context under which we develop the mining development agreements. Need for public disclosure, so we know who gets what sort of percentage or threshold is put into those. Are we having a low deal or not? That's very pertinent. Because maminerals you are agulu ndiatu. I think it because of zombira womanjat. Maminerals you are ndiatu. Ajimene abwele samwala gun. That's a precious stone. You go to other countries, Aribes. If you but are we making maximum use of the same? No. This is also where I call upon universities and institutions of higher learning to invest more and much in research and development. We need to quantify the minerals. We need to monetize the minerals so that we know exactly how much is Malawi worth of the mineral deposits that we have. Somebody talked about, I think the professor also, somebody else, Mina Alisha, talked about the Garcia rutile. We saw the clip, right? Many people saw the clip. The monies mentioned billions and billions of US dollars. And the years for us to mine is around 50 years. We simply need to trigger it and start it. So yes, quantifying, monetizing the mineral deposits is another way to go. But my brother Charles asked, where are we with MDC? I think he meant Malawi Development Corporation Holdings Limited. It's back now. All the governance aspects are done. Very soon you see it operating. Allow me also to make mention that we have the mining company. We have also the mining regulatory authority, the MRA of the mining regulatory authority. So all these, or some of these, will actually operate under the MTC. Targets have responded. It's a good initiative. But every day, every time, this is my second time, every time I come here, Professor Wells Sigini, you always fascinate me, you amaze me with, forward-looking kind of initiatives. Instead of universities and institutions of higher learning depending much on subversion, depending much on resources from government, you are now saying, we have got brains. Just act as referees. We get resources somewhere, we'll show you the products. That's the best way to do. So allowing the universities to make own resources through research projects and innovations, either through PPs or BOTs, is the best way to go. The ministry, as we are going back and compiling all the issues, we'll see. Energy generation, energy is means for production, because when we have power, we are assured of industrialization. Because you can't industrialize manually, you need power. So as I am concluding, I would like to assure you that we are going to compile a list, look at this. Ena anafusa uda sono mugabwera muganena mugabida koma chitu chimodzi chimene anayiwala Alisha. Ine I was very keen. Your first page, there is a gospel, or there is a yes, little foxes, and in the maona kandi masalimo kandi jani mwaika pane pachi kandi miyambo I have quoted somewhere. That meant in everything that we are doing, if we put God first, all these issues of integrity and dizziness is the castles of wood. You have made my day, and I hope that some of you will be invited in February. We always do that. We invite some representatives from the north. Kutaga onelele nthaimene tupanga present budget. Ndiye pamene mukaone kuti kodi anamva za Nyika Chitipa Road, and why the emphasis of Nyika Chitipa Road, because I passed through that ndikamapita utalile kuti instead of udusa ukalonga. So this is very important. The participation was good, more especially the young people, and we hope that as Dr. Thomas Chatagara indicated, my phone are 24/7. Our offices are open. If you feel good, but you have our numbers, the 0995649878. Koi. I'll answer you. If I see there is need for Bechani Chelen or Njati, I will link you to that one. We don't want to leave anyone behind. Who knows? Mwina Jimene Nyomunga Jide propose at last minute could probably be the first priority. But remember, we'll never have another country to call home. This is the only one. We don't need to have people from elsewhere to come and develop this country. It is us. We don't need any other time. It's now. For if we cannot do it, who else can do it for us? Therefore, in the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, I hope we have made the right submission and that the ministry should be or should do the needful in coming up with the pro-Malawi budget that resonates with aspirations of the Malawian people. Thank you for your attention.
Tirombe. Kumwongani Yehova chuta warusungu. Kuti kunyengo ya mlenji tangu mchemani imwe kuti muwe nase mtilongoze mvidumbilano vitu. Ndipo tikuonga chifukwa taona wokolinu la nkongono ilo la wanase pakati pitu. Chiuta wa dada tikumuongani chifukwa pakati pitu nanga pangawa mayanuyani ya kupambana, pangawa kuguzana kweni vyose vikurunjika pa uzengi kuti Malawi witu wawe imoza vantu olo muntu wakukaya wasange umoyo uwemi uokwizira muzinchito za kupambana za kutukula umoyo wake. Penipapo sonta afika kuumaliru tikuromba imwe kuti muwe nase penipapo tikuruta muvigawa va kupambana awo wendenge pa visulo vayendeskani ndimwe drivala mkuru muwe imwe kuti wakafike kumalo ako kwa mbulangozi kweniso aonani Yehova panthazi pitu pakuoneka pali chakulya icho chanozgekera mathupi ako tikuromba kuti muchitumbike ndimwe tuwisiani mawoko ayo yanozga chakulya ichi kwa kurusya kaperekeni chakulya cha moyo wetu wa uzimu yene aya ndi mazgo ino tikumuongani kuti tamuwera malo aya na mtima umoza kweniso na chitemwa icho imwe muri kupereka muzina la mwana winu Yesu Kristu tikuromba amen.
Iyayi pamenepo soto ndiye pamapeto wa mwambo umenewu umenetu umachitikiratu kunotu ku Zuzu Hotel umenetu nditu kunafika anthu osiyanasiyana kutito adzaperekere maganizo awo adzapereke ndimanga pamenetu ndondomeko ya zachuma ya chaka cha 2025 mpaka na 2026 iyenderetu ndipotu kunafika anthu osiyanasiyana tinaonapo abizinesi skulu zaukachenjede zosiyanasiyana anali muno kutito nditu athire mang'ombe kuti kodi unduna ona zachuma uyendetse bwanji ndondomeko imeneyi ndithu kupatulapo tinaonapo soto nduna ya zachuma amene watu ndi ya Simplex chichola banda kufotokozatu kuti zonse zimene zakambidwa pamalo pano zitengedwe chifukatu choti amanena kuti ena nkuthekanso kuti munali nchoti muyankhule muli kunyumbako apereka nambala pano kuti mungathe kuimba kapena kufika ndithu ku maofesi awo kuti mukathe kufotokoza bwinobwino kuti mukuona pati kuti dziko tichite bwanji kuti mwina chuma chathu chipite patsogolo. Koma apa ndilito ndi mtolankhani wathu Justin Mkwewu amenetu amatsatira bwinobwino zochitika zakuno ku Mzuzu. Iyenso analito dzulo ku Lilongwe kutsatiranso msonkhano unga umenewu. Justin, mwina pang'ono ndimangofuna anthu utafotokozera kuti chachikulu chimene watolako kuno ndi chani kwenikweni?
tamva mbali zosiyanasiyana za anthu amene ayika maganizo awo pa zomwe akufuna kuti ndondomeko ya zachuma ya 2025-2026 kuti mukhale zotani. Koyamba tinamva kuchokera ku Church and Society, awawa ndi aja a Livingstonia Synod anayamba ndi kuyamikira kunena kuti pali ngakhale boma likukumana ndi mavuto osiyanasiyana, mavuto okhuzana ndi zanyengo, mavuto ankhondo ochokera ku maiko anzathu, koma pali zinthu zambiri zomwe anduna akuonesa kuti akuyesesa kuti zinthu zikhalebe bwino. Mwachitsanzo ananenapo nkhani ya mega farms, kuti mega farms ndi chinthu chofunika kwambiri, maloni kapena kuti ngongole ya zipangizo zotsika mtengo ya nifi ananenaponso za nkhani imene, komanso misewu. Koma kwambiri nawonso anapempha kunena kuti ngakhale izi zili apo tiyeni tionjezere zinthu zina. Mwachitsanzo a Church and Society anapemphako zokhuzana ndi misewu kuno makamaka kuno ku Northern Region, kunena kuti ndi dera Northern Region ndi dera lomwe tourist attraction kapena kuti zokopa alendo zitha kupindulira dziko lino kwambiri. Izizi tinamvanso zulo a ekama akupereka maganizo awo kunena kuti zokopa alendo ndi what they described as low hanging fruits, kuti titha kupezako phindu mwansanga. Kuchokera kumeneko tinamvanso anzathu aku Mzuzu University anali oyamikiraso chifukwa cha library mwachitsanzo yomwe yamangidwa ndi zina zambiri. Aku Mzuzu University anapemphaso zinthu zingapo nawonso kunena kuti zikhale mbudget imeneyi. China mwa icho chinali chonena kuti pakhale knowledge based economy, komanso ma public private partnerships akhale ambiri. So mwachidule zimenezozo ndi zina mwa zomwe zaperekedwa kuno.
Sitingachite bwino ngati sindikufunsa za nkhani yokhudzana ndi migodi chifukwa inakula nthenje mpamalo pano. Mwina anthu amati chani?
Anthu amanena kuti ku Northern Region kuno kuli malo ambiri amene titha kupangako za migodi. Mwachitsanzo ena anabweresa mpaka na mwala kunena kuti mwala umene udu ndi mgodi wa Malawi. Ndewe nkhani imeneyi yakula nthenje, koma nkhani imeneyi tusikuti ndi anthu okhawa amene akuyifuna. Boma lachitaponso zambiri. Mukumbukira inu kuti last year mu February president anapanga launch ija amati ATM strategy. Akutanthauza kuti mining zosonyeza kuti boma likuchilimika kuti za migodi zipite pasogolo, ndipo anthuso akuvomereza kuti likuchilimika, koma akufuna kuti pachitikebe zambiri zokhuzana ndi migodi makamaka ku Northern Region kuno.
Ndikuthokozetu chifukwa cha nthawi imeneyi kuti wafotokozanso bwino mmene tsatane wa ndondomeko yakuno.
Ndithu ndi kuchokera kunoko anduna akhala akuyenda apita ku Blantyre Friday, komwe adakhalenso ndi msonkhano ngati omwewa akumema anthu ku Southern Region kuti tiyeni tikapereke maganizo athu.
Thokoza kwambiri.
Zikomo.
Ndi ameneyo mtolankhani wathu Justin Mkwewu kufotokozatu ndithu kuti Friday lino andunatu akhala akulunjika ku Blantyre kumenenso akafunatu kufika kwanu pamalo pamenepo. Ndithu china chachikulu nchakuti ngati inu mufuna kupereka maganizo, chifukwa chachikulu amafunsa anduna aja kuti titole misonkho. Kotolera misonkho kwakukulu kumene dera limene mukuona kuti titolere ndikuti ndi kumenetu akufunitsitsa kuti mupereke maganizo. Ndenu kutheka kuti muli ndi maganizo komatu mutotolera misonkho kwakuti akutito nambala nzotsegula komanso maofesi awo alipo. Inetu kufika na pamenepo chisomo manda ndikuyamikeni kuti mwakhala pamenepo kutitsatira kuyambira mauja mpaka natu nthawi ino. Ndithokozenso onse amenetu anagwira ntchito kuno ku Mzuzu Hotel kuti zonsezi zikhaletu mwapamwamba. Kufikiranso tsiku lina ndingotito mupitirizetu kuonera kanema wanu komanso kumvera MBC Radio 1. Ine ndapita.